Welcome, dear fiends of the den, where shadows speak louder than headlines, and every whisper begs to be cross examined. This is the lair of Rose Noir, unmonetized, unsponsored, and unapologetically unfiltered. I am your underground icon. Here, news and conspiracy theories tango in the dark, hatch strange offspring in my brain, and slither out through my mouth. No ads, no allegiance, just raw nature, forensic fury, and a hunger for justice that doesn't sleep. If you want to keep the lights dim and the truth loud, your donations keep the blood pumping. The PayPal link is in the bio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Hello, dear fiends of the den. I know I normally bring you the haunted history of Hollywood on Wednesdays, but you will find that episode up Friday of this week because I need to take a moment to commend the victims and survivors of Jeffrey Epstein who are all coming together to demand transparency. So, trigger warning, that is today's episode. If this is something that you are uncomfortable with, thank you so much for joining me here in the den up until now. If you'd like to hear more, let's dive in. According to ABC News, this is not a hoax. Epstein survivors speak out demanding files be released. So, this story is by Lauren Peller and Alexandra Hultzer. And it says a group of Epstein survivors spoke out on Capitol Hill on Wednesday as a part of a push to have all the files related to the accused sex trafficker released. This is not a hoax. It's not going to go away, said Marina Lacerda, a central witness in Epstein's 2019 indictment, who spoke with ABC News. Now, this is just so significant because they are now finding each other or finding each other again. We don't really know if they've all stayed close or all just, I don't know, but this is so incredible. I think I'm just so excited to feel this empowerment coming forward because this should not ever go away. No one should ever let it go away. And it should not matter who is on this list. Whoever it is needs to be held responsible. Men, women, actors, actresses, politicians, regular old people who could just afford, his services and use them. Royalty, who cares? Guilt is guilt. If you know, you know. And the victims should absolutely be able to come forward and without fear name these people. Look what happened to Virginia Giuffre. Her family has been speaking out because they want more answers and said she was not property. And that's how she was treated. And then, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell speaks with Todd Blanche and says no one did anything wrong ever, but she had already perjured herself in court. And this is on record. So she gets moved from Florida, which is not the nicest prison, to Texas, where it is a cushy prison. And what I did hear was one of the inmates who complained about her being there. And this woman was in the cushy prison, right, for a very long time, living out her sentence, was transferred to a maxi max prison for speaking out against Ghislaine Maxwell, which doesn't make any sense except that Ghislaine Maxwell is protected by a lot of higher ups. She's just not being let out yet for whatever reasons. But let's talk the victims who spoke, because we have to honor them and their voices that were silenced for so many years, and they're not doing this for fame or vengeance. This is for truth and justice, because the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse and Ghislaine Maxwell's abuse have shown the world what courage looks like, even when the stakes are impossibly high, and they really are right now, because this could take down, it could take down the world. We don't know. And the system, we know, protects the people in power, protects the money. And, everyone's arguing about re-traumatizing the victims. They're re-traumatized every day, especially when justice is not served. So speaking your testimony or writing it down or whatever it is you need to do to release that is what helps. People listening to your story and believing you is what helps. It doesn't help when people lie and push their issue to the forefront when there are people that have been silenced by such powerful people for decades, because this goes back to the 80s. So this is a rebellion against their voices being erased. And every survivor who stepped forward and is risking retaliation, disbelief, and all of this re-traumatization, you're not just survivors. You are the architects of now large accountability, because we don't often see it on a small scale either. So let's just realize how brave these women are being and their families coming forward. So on September 2nd, 2025, there was a private meeting with members of the House Oversight and Reform Committee in Washington, D.C., with some survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse, and they gathered to demand the release of all of the criminal investigation files related to the case. Now, Virginia Giuffre's family spoke at a related press conference, and this was in Austin, Texas, and they said, her wish is that we continue to fight. Her voice will not be silenced. And that came from Sky Roberts, and that is Virginia Roberts Giuffre's brother. And this was shared alongside Virginia's final handwritten message, which called on families and survivors to, quote, stand together to fight for the future of victims. Now, I don't know exactly what happened with Virginia Giuffre. It's hard to believe that she would have ended her own life, but that's what it seems to be. But let's get to the truth for her sake, for her family's sake, and for the sake of all of the victims of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And do not let this story die. Thank you for joining me in the den. Thank you so much, because we really need to help survivors keep their voices alive and loud. Don't forget, because I bring you the truth, the den has been demonetized, and it's a signal from the shadows. So if you'd like to support the dark entertainment and Rose Noir's investigations, you can do so by tipping the detective. The paypal.me link is in the bio. Again, thank you so much for joining me in the den. If you've got something to say, send me an email at welcometothedenpodcast@gmail.com.